rampaging through American border towns, raiding homes and apartments of the law-abiding. However, there's one thing these foreign fugitives are about to find out.
See, this is the thing that a lot of people aren't understanding about this. Like, people are like, oh, no, we don't need more border control. Like, live near the border. A lot of people that are saying this don't live near the border. Don't live near the southern border. This is a problem. Like, it is a big problem. And people have to understand that, like, you need protected borders in any country. I don't know why this is such a controversial take in the United States. This, like, it is, everybody wants to preach about immigration and all these different things. Okay, I understand that, but you still need a safe border and some sort of registered way to come into the country. Is it perfect? No. But that's why we need to, we need to take more time and have a process in place to be able to get people in the right way.
The border they're walking across will now soon be flooded with even more U.S. military troops.
I think we get a lot of credit on the border.
And here's the thing: a lot of the left is going to say, like, I don't care if you lean right or left, whatever. But I can already see a lot of the left saying that, oh, this is what happens. This is what happens when when you start to secure the border more. This is, yeah. There's going to be obvious problems that arise out of a solution. That doesn't mean that it's the incorrect solution. It just means that there are things that are going to happen that just need to be, it's just another problem that needs to be solved. Right? Like,
last month we had 0 people come into our country. We had people come in, but they had to come in legally.
Anything of value was gone. Everything was rifled through. The whole house was flipped upside down.
It's no secret
like this,
the cartel
this is not okay.
Its billions moving people into the country illegally anymore because we're not seeing that anymore. And so people down here believe that the cartel is resorting to old tactics to make up for that loss. There's several homes down here along the Rio Grande have been broken into. The most recent one, yeah, you can still see where the safe was actually quite literally flipped down his driveway. Check out these
and look, this isn't just going to be happening in Texas. This is going to be happening in New Mexico. This is going to be happening in Southern California. This is going to be happening all over. I mean, this isn't just going to be a Texas issue. Like, that's like, this is going to get bigger and bigger because we've now taken away the cartel's job of trafficking people, and now they need to find another means to get a job. What does that mean? It means looting and robbing Americans.
These 8-wheeled armor vehicles, strikers could be armed with cannons or machine guns to fight enemies. They are positioned to give a bird's eye view over the border. This one that we got to look at overlooks the Juarez, Mexico area, a major smuggling corridor known for its high number of gotaways, illegal migrants who managed to escape Border Patrol agents.
They had gone through every room, pulled out every drawer.
Mexican officials even stood guard over the waterlogged safe for days, but Rivas couldn't retrieve it. It was in Mexico.
So it's no secret that foreign fugitives have entered our country with the goal of raiding homes and apartments. But what nobody's talking about is if Mexican cartels are now resorting to this, business at the border must be pretty lousy. Because it's one thing for a lone operative and perhaps a small crew of hardened thugs to enter a small town, disappear into our streets, cause mayhem, and then leave. But it's quite another to ferry millions of people from the far corners of the earth into our country while getting paid for doing so. And what most people don't know is that smuggling was a $13 billion per year industry that these cartels and gangs are now cut off from completely. And what this new switch to home invasions really shows is that they're getting desperate. Not only because they can't smuggle people into our country like they used to, but in many cases the operatives and cartel members themselves are getting busted and sent to eternal vacation destinations like El Salvador. And that brings us to the real reason why we're now seeing these home invasions. This is one of the few ways left for criminals with the ability to cross the border to still profit from it, and everyone doing this is on borrowed time because thousands of U.S. troops are now headed to the border with Mexico, areas of which have now been designated a national defense area, which pretty much guarantees anyone sneaking across is going to get captured and deported almost immediately, and in some cases, hiding in Mexico after committing crime in America won't save you either.
Reyna was so proud of his actions, he even posted videos of the attack on his personal TikTok account, according to the indictment. Well, after releasing his photo, police in Mexico located Reyna south of the border, and yesterday they turned him over to the Border Patrol at the port of entry in San Ysidro, handcuffed, searched. They put him into a vehicle, and he is not looking too happy there.
That was one of the anti-ICE rioters who attacked law enforcement agents in California, and he's in a better place now. Federal detention, which is where criminals belong. However, some individuals are still getting through, and as you're about to see, they're invading towns and raiding apartments in ways nobody is quite prepared for.
Value was gone. Everything was rifled through. The whole house was flipped upside down.
Now to the southern border, where residents are reporting multiple home break-ins, where law enforcement says cartels under pressure from the immigration crackdown are now burglarizing American homes for money and valuables. News Nation's Allie Bradley is live for us in Del Rio, Texas. And Allie, you just walked through a home that was hit by one of these cartels.
At least they left the ironing board. It's terrible.
Yeah, Nicole. So we know that it's no secret the cartel is not making its billions moving people into the country illegally anymore because we're not seeing that
It's
anymore.
crazy because I don't think a lot of people would have the same opinions that they have if they were just closer to the action and just see it for themselves. Like that's how big the United States is, and that's how disconnected people are from all this stuff. I think if you put people closer to what's going on in this country, specifically with the border, you start to understand, okay, yeah, like this, it's a problem, and like it needs to be addressed. I don't know ICE. I don't know if ICE is the exact solution to that, but we definitely cannot at this point, at this stage in the U.S.'s history, like continue to just let people come in free willy-nilly. That's not sustainable. It's not sustainable.
Believe that the cartel.
But let's ask ourselves, why would cartels in Mexico, who are well-funded, well-organized, and have weapons that militaries around the world are trying to get their hands on, why would they resort to breaking into the homes of average Americans just across the water? Well, I'll tell you why. These criminals, they refuse to make money in any way that isn't completely illegal. And American homes have a lot inside of them. First of all, they've got valuables, safes, cash, and there could also be the homeowner's fire.
Yeah, and also, if they decide to use any of those weapons against our military, they're fucked. Like, yeah, you resort to all the illegal stuff you want, the low operational stuff that you want. The minute you start firing on the U.S. military, you're fucked. Like, that's just what it is. And they know that. People are like, oh, it's the cartel. It's the U.S. military. I'm 4 minutes from a base. I see F-16s flying every day. It's intimidating as fuck. It's amazing to watch. Amazing to watch.
Which gang members wouldn't mind getting their hands on. And remember, we're in 2025. If criminals get their hands on your phone or your computer or your physical identity documents, they could use those things to steal your identity and thus your life savings. And after they do that, they can repurpose your social security number and personal information and sell that to other people who don't have legitimate documents of their own. And just wait till you see how sophisticated home invasions have gotten.
But in Southern California, break-ins have also rocked everyone, from movie stars to regular residents of the San Fernando Valley.
It's happening
Prompting
everywhere.
Police to warn the methods looked very similar to those deployed in many of these cases by South American crime rings.
They often know your patterns. They're finding that out through embedding cameras in bushes or in and around the community.
I used my left foot to kick it out, and that's when I discovered it was a device.
This West Covina homeowner showing
so
NBC LA the camouflage device covered in grass he unearthed in his front yard.
I felt violated. It gave me the chills.
Multiple police departments have shared images of concealed cameras.
Now, in the case of this homeowner that got robbed right across the border, they don't even need to hide a camera to watch his house. I mean, if you're gonna rob somebody's house, it sounds like this is what you do. So thieves could conceivably hide a camera in cartel territory on one side of the river and watch his house to figure out what his patterns are, but they could see his house from Mexico. And that's why these guys broke in and took pretty much everything this guy has. And to be honest with you, this doesn't look like the home of a professional athlete. And sadly, everybody who's got identity documents or a computer or firearms is an automatic target.
Thieves also using signal jammers.
Crazy.
What can that thing do?
It can take out every Wi-Fi device in your house and car.
And with a push of a button.
This little switch right here. If I did this right now, we'd lose our Zoom connection because I'm on Wi-Fi.
Security technology consultant Ted Nearhouse showing us how easy it is.
Here we go.
See.
And he's gone.
Then the screen did freeze, though.
So if you've got like a Ring doorbell or some Wi-Fi enabled camera, that thing is pretty much useless. Everybody's got them, but all the thieves apparently have these jammers that they can just use. These things also disrupt radio traffic in some cases, so nobody on a police frequency can use a local radio to pin down where these criminals are. It hampers law enforcement. And that's the other aspect to these cartel-related home invasions that's pretty scary. We've got troops in certain areas of the border that are a national defense zone. We've got Border Patrol that's supposed to catch people who come into the country illegally. But if somebody's breaking into your home, you're probably calling the local police department, and the response you get may or may not be even equipped.
Still, what's going on?
Some of the criminals that took one homeowner for all that he had.
That the cartel is resorting to old tactics to make up for that loss. There's several homes down here along the Rio Grande have been broken into. The most recent
Several
one,
homes.
Yeah, you can still see where the safe was actually quite literally flipped down his driveway. Check out these gashes in his driveway here that leads all the way to the river.
And like, here's the thing, like, a lot of people are going to hear this and they're going to be like, oh, it's only 7 homes. It's only 7 homes. That's where it starts. That's always where it starts. And if you don't take the action now, like, it just becomes a bigger problem. And, you know, they adapt more, they start implementing better technology to do raids, you know, more often, better executed. Like you need to tackle the problem now. And you're going to have a lot of people sitting here saying, well, it's only 7 homes. It's seven American homes. That's 7 families. 7 people who got their shit illegally stolen. For what? Because you want to make a statement about the border? I mean, it's ridiculous, dude.
Isn't that concerned about the valuables?
You need protected borders.
They took this guy's safe and just dragged it out of his back door and into Mexico. That's absolutely crazy. They just ripped it right out of his home. And this thing is so heavy, he's actually not quite sure how the criminals were able to get it out without some sort of power tool or vehicle. The safe itself did get stuck in the river. It filled up with water. The criminals couldn't drag it back to Mexican territory and break into it. Mexican military is seen here on camera watching over the safe, but it's in a foreign country. He can't just go over there illegally and bring it back. And the report mentions that this type of robbery pattern is happening all over this area that is very close to the Mexican side of the U.S. border where there's no wall.
This stretch of the river was once the epicenter of the border crisis back in 2021, but lately things had been quiet. Rivas let his guard down. He says that won't happen again.
So now I walk in the house with my shoes.
The remnants of a terrifying break-in at Frank Rivas's waterfront home.
Anything of value was gone. Everything was rifled through. The whole house was flipped upside down. They had gone through every room, pulled out every drawer, and emptied every drawer, and basically made their way to my stand-up safe, which is a substantial safe, which contained
a standing safe
value in it. Everything that's important to me and anything valuable, jewelry, diamonds, cash, weapons, collections from a long time ago.
So they stole his weapons.
Many things of value. Everything that's important to me in my life.
Several Mexican nationals crossed the Rio Grande and stormed Rivas's property, according to officials, making off with more than $60,000 in guns, jewelry, and other personal belongings. Wow. A massive safe dragged across the border and dumped in the water when it got too heavy to haul.
Now,
It's crazy because, like, even living in New Mexico, like, I've been this close. It's weird. It's weird to look right on the other side, and that's Mexico. Really weird. It's cool. It's like, oh damn, there's the border. There's the border right now. Even when I was up north, you know, like, you know, Montana. You want to get over to Canada, or when you're in New York, you're at Niagara Falls, you look over, you just wave, and that's Canada. It's a weird, it's an odd feeling. It's really cool, but it's just like, it just goes to show how, you know, exposed in a sense that you actually are as a country sometimes.
This brings us to the part in our story
Thrilling,
where the real
thrilling
problem starts to emerge,
one would
because
say.
I've been told by the television, as you probably have as well, that Mexico is now doing everything to secure their border, that they are working so hard over there, and they're cracking down on all of this cartel activity, and we shouldn't be seeing stuff like this anymore. But apparently, while there are Mexican military units that put on a show for the cameras, apparently these units will not go into cartel-controlled areas of their own country, which means Mexico is still a safe space for the criminals that stole this guy's safe and have been breaking into homes right across the water from where their territory is, as they can disappear into areas of Mexico where law and order doesn't exist and where no one can follow them, which is why we're now seeing an even larger buildup of troops on the U.S. side of the border. Oof.
So this is the LRAD, stands for the Long Range Acoustic Device.
Do you know where they're at right now? You know what that mountain range is? I believe they are in either Fort Worth or they are at Holloman. Holloman is 4 minutes down the street from me. See this little patch right out here, that little speck of white? I think this is White Sands,
So basically,
but I cannot be
any
certain.
tone or any voice at a longer distance.
Military troops aren't just watching the border. Now they're using sound to...
Yeah, that looks... I think they're at Fort Worth. Or I'm sorry, not Fort Worth. Or no, yeah. No, not Fort Worth. They're at, oh, Christ, what is it called? What's the base? No, it's not. Fort Worth, is Dallas. What U.S. military bases are in New Mexico and Texas? Kirtland, White Sands Missile Range, Fort Bliss. That's what it is. Fort Bliss. I believe it's either. I believe this is Fort Bliss, is where they're at right now.
Away. Thousands of U.S. troops have been deployed to what's now known as national defense areas, militarized zones where the U.S. military and Border Patrol operate side by side. The Army's presence in Nogales is impossible to miss. 117 armored vehicles, over 35 helicopters, and high-tech surveillance gear.
The crazy thing is, like, living in this area, not only do you see I see F-16s fly every day. What's really cool is we were driving home one time and we saw a Black Hawk flying and like a row of tanks. I mean, it's like I said, I think this country is so big, and a lot of the opinions that people have on the border, I think it's because it's because people are so detached from the reality of what's actually going on. And when you see it up close, I think people's opinions would change. You know, it's pretty wild.
Drones scanning the skies, but what actually happens if someone tries to cross?
And it just and I mean, I guess you could argue that detached is a good thing because the military the country is doing its job at keeping you safe, right? But like, again, because you're so detached, people are having these pretty extreme opinions on, you know, what we should be doing with the border, and we shouldn't just be tossing people out. Well, it's safer now.
Zones.
You
Troops
know,
have a way to send a clear warning.
then we can inform them with this, and we can inform them that if they cross over the barrier, they will be in our national defense area. That is their early warning. If they cross into our national defense area, then they will be detained.
You know, the problem is this homeowner, he doesn't live in a national defense area. So all of this security, just like you've got cartel territory that the Mexican military can't go to, well, in America, you've got certain areas along the border that are so secure no criminals want to enter there, which basically forces them through other areas that are lightly guarded or where the military can't go. And you know something? If homes on the Texas side of the border are being broken into, I can't imagine residents would be opposed to a tank in their driveway if it made the cartels think twice about trying to enter their property and steal stuff. And in total, about a third of the U.S. border is now national defense.
I mean, people are talking about, I mean, this goes into gun rights too, you know? This goes into gun rights. It's like, oh, we shouldn't own guns, and there's people actively coming into the U.S., breaking into your home, stealing your shit, and it's not just any people, it's cartel. It's nothing to joke around about, man. I mean, it's
which
crazy
means
stuff
anybody
that's
who
happening.
enters those areas gets immediately arrested, deported, you name it, it's over. But the other problem is these cartels, they're not just trying to walk in. They've got surveillance, they've got technology on their side, and they're also almost at parity with law enforcement and the military with drone technology, which helps them commit all sorts of crime.
Let me repeat that. Cartels today have more drone capability than American law enforcement.
Officials say that the threat is no longer just about surveillance.
American law enforcement. Let's reiterate: American law enforcement, not American military. Now, I don't know if this means giving law enforcement more drone capabilities, but unless it's in a certain area that's
on Mexican soldiers,
massively
American
required.
agents worry it's only a matter of time.
But then it gets into the question, well, where does that end?
Bombs into the United States. Earlier this year, we saw just how critical this technology has become. News Nation joined Texas DPS in Aroma, where troopers use thermal drones to catch smugglers attempting to sneak.
Also, it's very unclear. It's very unclear when he says they have better drone capabilities. I know that might seem like a fearful tagline when he says that, but drone capabilities can be anything from a basic DJI drone to thermal surveillance like he's talking about. You know what I mean? I have a drone. I have two drones. It's become very commercialized now. I think the drones that he's talking about is just a basic drone, 1080p HD camera on it. Whatever. There's no other threat on that drone that it poses other than potential surveillance.
Troopers told us this.
Yeah, I mean, you could build a border wall as high as you want, but it's not going to get high enough to stop a drone from flying over. And whoever's in this raft right
using this. Hold on, wait. So this is interesting because a lot of drones now have technologies in them that include airspace restrictions. So for instance, if I fly my drone, which is a DJI drone, I can't fly it in certain areas because it's mapped to airfield restrictions or, restrictions around the United States, whether it be national parks, maybe state parks. I would assume national monuments and stuff, but I'm unclear on that. But there are restrictions. There are things that can be put in place to prevent drones from going any higher than a certain limit if it's in a certain airspace. However, it could be avoided if the technology is removed, which it most likely is if the drones are being used illegally by the cartel, which they probably are.
To figure out when to try and make their crossing. Now, look, nobody wants to see.
I'm not trying to downplay the threat. I'm just saying there's a little bit of there's nuance there.
In an unrestricted manner, and they're going back to areas of Mexico where there is no law and order. Something has to be done about that. There needs to be a consequence for that, or it's going to keep happening, and it's only going to get worse. And the other component to this is the seeming inability of Mexico to actually deal with its cartel problem. And frankly, if they were to try and make war with the cartels, the problem is they would need the United States' help to do it. These cartels are well funded. They're not going to go down without a fight. They control large swaths of territory, and you don't just have one cartel in Mexico. You've got a whole bunch of different factions, and you know what? They're all at war with each other and their own government to an extent. And the last thing that Mexico wants to do is to get rid of well-connected people who might be cartel members in their country and have been running it for decades with the help of America, who their president has been demonizing. They're certainly not going to want our troops in their territory making their country safer, which would be of great benefit to law-abiding Mexicans and law-abiding Americans. That's what I think anyways. What do you think? Thank you.